Hello, what's going on, Cowboys Nation? Welcome to Cowboys Nation on Player's Choice for September 26, 2023. And today I am joined with my two co-hosts, Rue and Chris. Kyle is not here this week. He is traveling from Arizona. Chris was in Arizona as well. So both of those two, I feel sorry for them because they shouldn't have had to have seen that abomination of a game. We have RJ Ochoa coming on the show. He'll be in around 10, 15 minutes. So look forward to that. I'm sure you guys know who RJ Ochoa is, blogging the boys. You guys know him if you are a resident on Twitter like myself. We got another guest. You guys might know him because, he was one of my favorite guests so far that we've had on the show. Granted, it's one of our only guests that we've had on the show, so that makes him one of my favorite. We have Benjamin Garcia. He is from Fox Sports. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. Fox Sports 9:10 a.m. in Phoenix. Just so you know, not clout chasing over here. Just trying to be specific for me. You know how it is.
See, I was trying to, I was trying to put you on. I was trying to say, hey, he works at Fox Sports. He knows Colin Cowherd. He knows Chris.
Yeah, dude.
Chris
I wish, right?
He knows. Hold up. Who's the homeboy?
It's a parade inside my city. Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. It's funny story over Super Bowl weekend. I got to hoop with Jason McIntyre and Doug Gottlieb. It was crazy, man. It was a very surreal moment for me. So it was dope.
Oh wow, that's actually really dope. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a story for another day. First, I got to flame the Cowboys.
Yeah, you want to know what? We deserve it this week, guys. If you're watching this, Cowboys fans, we deserve it this week. Okay, so I don't usually like doing this, but we need to take this in. We need to take this out. It's Tuesday, right? We're starting to get over the L. Ben, the floor is yours. The floor is yours, my friend.
Already? Okay. Well, let's just jump right into it. I won't be super long. I won't be long-winded. Honestly, I've came down from the high a little bit as well. But Cowboy fans, this is what I told you guys were. When you put the ball in a guy like Dak Prescott's hands, when you are trying to win the game, when the team knows you have to pass, he cannot carry you. And people will say, well, the defense will carry us. The wide receivers will carry us. The skill position players will carry us. No, they will only carry you for so long because that is not the last time you're going to get put in that position. I told people, listen, Mike McCarthy, what the hell is he doing with the play calling, guys? I'm sitting on my couch texting Cowboys beat, and I'm saying, why is he running the ball with 5 minutes left? Why is CeeDee Lamb begging for a flag, not jumping for the ball against Marco Wilson, of all guys, not a premier corner, the second best corner on the Arizona Cardinals? This is a defense that came in, and you know what? Before I harp on that, we talked about it as well, Cowboys beat, when he had said, the offensive line, why are we resting players? And I thought the same exact thing. Why are you resting players in week 3 against the Arizona Cardinals, no less, which if you have done your scouting report, they had played exceedingly well against the Giants, against the Commanders, 2 games that they should have won. The Arizona Cardinals, if they had Kyler Murray right now, would be 3-0. This is exactly what we said that they were, guys. Keitrell Clark getting in the head of CeeDee Lamb. When things are going well for the Dallas Cowboys, things are going to go well. It's going to chug along. It's the Aaron Rodgers effect. No one is better with a lead than Aaron Rodgers, and no one is better after beating 2 subpar quarterbacks in Zach Wilson and Daniel Jones than the Dallas Cowboys. They're the complete front runners. Guys, they're right now, and I'm willing to change my mind. They're a fraudulent Super Bowl contender. They are not a Super Bowl contender right now. And as I said last week, the Eagles are just better right now. That can change, but the Eagles are not letting the Cardinals beat them. I mean, we've seen that before. I don't want to harp on it too much, although I kind of do. It's not my show. That's my opening rant. The Cowboys are who we thought they were. They're a fraudulent team right now. That can change, but I don't believe in Dak Prescott. I don't believe in the offensive line to stay completely healthy. We've seen Tyron Smith have those issues before. Zach Martin's been injured before. This defense has been completely overstated. Micah Parsons is awesome. And after that, I told you guys in the offseason, Brandon Cooks, Stephon Gilmore are not saving this team. The only thing is saving this team is if Dak Prescott can finally put on the superhero cape, that I'm not rooting against him to do. Maybe he does. But until he can put on the Super Bowl cape and everyone knows he has to pass and he can still pass and not throw it into triple coverage, guys, that interception was so Dak Prescott, it hurt. But I digress.
Are you serious right now, bro?
Chris, go ahead, my friend. I know you've been waiting. I see that look in your eye. Go ahead.
If this wasn't a live show, I would have interrupted a long time ago. I let Benjamin get his ridiculous rant out like he always does. That's why I love Benjamin, because he can spew nonsense like no other. Stephen A needs to call him and take lessons, okay? Because all what he said, except for one thing, was absolutely, I wouldn't say the word asinine, but asinine. Okay, so let's go back from the beginning, okay? From everything you said. Now, I'm with you on that. I think the Cowboys took this as a preseason game, and we're going to rest these players. That's very important to our offense, and we can handle the Cardinals with ease. And apparently that wasn't it. The defense went out there and basically said, look, hey, man, the Cardinals, they can't run the ball against us because we're the all-world defense, and we got Hall of Famers everywhere on defense, and that didn't happen, okay? But what we're not going to do, we're not going to do the traditional let's blame Dak because he threw the interception at the end of the game because the Cowboys had 5 trips inside the red zone and didn't do anything with them because of play calling and not because at the end of the game, Dak threw an interception. We were already down 2 touchdowns. That one interception really didn't matter, okay? It just sealed the victory for the Cardinals. That's what it did, okay? So we're not just going to sit there and say it's Dak's fault the reason why we lost the game. I'm sure I don't know why you didn't bring up how much money he makes because you always say that every time the Cowboys lose a game. Like I always say, the big fella keep receipts. I listen to everything you say, Benjamin. Okay, I listen to everything. You know, since you're the professional that runs the teleprompter at Fox, you know you can read and you can follow guidelines. You know, but some things just because you're gonna be a blowhard talking about the Cowboys, you make it so entertaining, man. I can't help but love you. Okay, but that was not good on the Cowboys' part. But what you said was even worse.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. You know, it really is interesting to me how Dak Prescott is catching the most blame out of anybody coming out of this game. I don't understand that. I mean, the defense was terrible. It was a really bad performance by the defense. And look, here's the thing. If you want to sit there and say, oh, well, look at what happens when the defense doesn't play up to par. Now Dak Prescott. Look, I've seen Dak Prescott carry this team plenty of times throughout the course of his career when the defense hasn't stepped up. This is nothing new, okay? When they played Philly, say what you want, it's Gardner Minshew, it's this, that, and the third. They put 34 points on this team's head. Dak Prescott led that offense to 40 points versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, go back to Tampa Bay week 1 a few years ago. I understand they lost that game. Dak Prescott was phenomenal. New England a few years ago where he put up 450 yards in New England. He carried that team. There has been plenty of times where Dak Prescott has carried the Cowboys. So this whole notion of, well, when Dak Prescott has to throw the ball, we're doomed. No, that's not the case at all. Okay, this team got into the red zone 6 times. And here's the thing. You get into the red zone 6 times, it was poor execution in the red zone by the offense. No doubt about it, okay? If you score touchdowns 2 more times in the red zone, which I think the Cowboys are more than capable of doing, and you end up with 3 points both of those times, you score 31 points. Okay? So, yes, I get it. And Dak didn't even play bad in this game. That's the funniest part about it. And if you were to tell me that 3 weeks through the season, Dak Prescott only threw 1 interception, I would say that's pretty good. So all things considered, I really, really don't understand why Dak Prescott is getting the most criticism out of anybody. It was a terrible defensive performance. I think the offense could have executed better in the red zone. And yes, Dak needs to be better. But he still played a pretty good game. 2 things can be true at once. Somebody needs to play better so that they can elevate their team to victory. But here's the thing. We all know that Dak Prescott is not a Patrick Mahomes type of quarterback. This isn't breaking news. But name me how many quarterbacks in the league are that type of guy that it's like, put the team on my back and I can carry us. And I know Mookie's in the chat. Your boy Justin Herbert ain't that either. Let's be 100% honest with you, because if he was, he'd have a winning record. Does he even have a winning record as a starting quarterback? I just wanted to make sure. Real, you.
Yeah, you digress, Chris.
Wait, hold up. I got to respond to this. Dak Prescott last season was a very efficient red zone quarterback. Mookie was saying that in the chat. 18 touchdowns to 1 interception on a 70+% completion percentage. That's very efficient within the red zone. That's why I'm not necessarily tripping. Okay, it's week 3. Okay, if we're running into these problems in week 10, that's when I'm going to start to panic. But besides that, Rue, it's all you.
I'm torn. I really am. I'm at a weird place in this whole scenario because listen, I understand because I've seen it just like you've seen it, Chris, in terms of what we get from Dak Prescott on different games and different positions. But I hate this college mentality BS that I'm literally dealing with, where you're playing down to your competition. We're laying guys off. I mean, I know every excuse that's going to come. We at the end of the day, we didn't have Tyler Biotis, we didn't have Zach Mullen, we didn't have Tyler Smith. You're looking at this defense for the first time without Trayvon Diggs, and I'm telling you right now, I miss that man. I really do. Shout out to Trayvon Diggs. This defense is not the same without you. And the fact of the matter is, man, they went out and flat out embarrassed us. We were a 12.5-point favorite in this game away, and this is not some long distance trip. For me, this started from the very first drive when you're down to the 3rd and 6 and you get a false start penalty, which turns it into a 3rd and 11, and then immediately after that you have a delay of game, turns it into a 3rd and 16, and you're off the field on the first drive. I can live with it. It's fine. It's dandy. It's whatever. They go down and they score, and I'm just like, we're looking at 10 points against a team that hasn't scored points or that is looking like they're tanking for the season, and we haven't allowed more than 10 points in an entire game. They did it in their first 2 drives. So it's like everything looks like shit. And when I look at Dak, and it's like, yeah, man, he had a decent game. He had a 250-yard game. He had, a touchdown in the game. But, dude, 5 red zone trips, and we got 6 points in the second half. 5 red zone trips, you got 6 points out of the deal. And mind you, we got robbed a few times in the game. Like, I don't know how you decline a holding penalty that's in the red zone for a safety. I don't know how that happened. Figure that one out somehow, some way that shit went down the way it did. And then the PI against Michael Gallup in the end zone. And it's like, look, I shouldn't even be in the position to be asking referees for penalties. But just like Ben said, I was yelling at my damn TV talking about, CD, quit asking for a call and get up and get the damn ball.
Facts. I agree.
Dak did not play a terrible game, but I'm telling you, like Ben is kind of hinting at not hinting at, his whole argument is, when the pressure's on and it's 3rd down and that pressure's in his face, he doesn't hit CD in the corner over the top. He goes for the middle and it's a deflected ball. And then at the end of the game, it's basically the same scenario and you do the same thing. And it's just like, man, the calls aren't always going to go your way. You're not always going to get the illegal touching on Jake Ferguson, inside the end zone when you're on the 5-yard line. You're not always going to get that call. It is what it is. But it's just right now we're in a position where it's like, I have to settle down because it's only week 3. It is the NFL. Any given Sunday, something can happen. Somebody can pull something off like this. And you know what, man? Arizona had been itching for a win. They should have beat the Giants. They played both their games very competitively, and we walked into this game like we were just going to take care of business, and we were reading our own press clippings, which is really annoying for me because I didn't expect games like this caliber defense. I didn't expect Jacksonville games this year. I didn't expect Green Bay games this year, and they gave me one by week 3. And I'm disappointed on all fronts. The defense, the offense, everybody. It was like the only person who really did his job. It was like the quietest 122 yards, averaging 5 yards a carry that I'd ever seen from Tony
Gallup as well.
Quietest day from him. Like it felt weird to me because like it's like you're looking at the stat sheet, but I feel like he was just non-existent. And it was just like between the 20s, we were absolutely outstanding, just driving down the field every drive, annihilating this defense. And then it was like as soon as you got inside the 20, brick wall just showed up, and it was just like, nope, we're done. Have a good day. See you next week.
Yo, all right, Mookie. Here's the thing, right? I got to respond to this because he's a big Justin Herbert fan, right? Has Dak Prescott ever blown a 28-point lead in a playoff game? I just got to ask that question. Absolutely. Four turnovers. The Chargers get 4 turnovers in that game, and Justin Herbert blows a 28-point lead. So I just wanted to put that out there. So but that's besides the point. Look,
leave Mookie alone.
No, because
you know what? If Mookie's in San Diego, I'll see you. I'll see you Monday night if you're going to be at that game. I'll be there. I'll be there with my sign.
Guys, to be fair,
letting him know I got his second L for him.
Guys, to be fair, Dak Prescott would never be in a position to have a 28-point lead. So,
I mean, maybe if his defense gave him 4 turnovers in the first half, but that's besides the point. Look, here's the thing. My problem with the Cowboys' performance is that like you didn't get up for this game. Nobody in the world is going to tell me that the Arizona Cardinals are a better football team than the Dallas Cowboys. Not even the Cardinals fan that is here that, their team won the game. Nobody's going to tell me that the Arizona Cardinals are a better football team than the Dallas Cowboys. But here's the thing. When you play down to your competition, this isn't college football, right? The talent differential isn't so much to where, okay, we might take the day off, but we'll still win by 20 points just because we're that much talented than the other team. The talent differential is not like that in the NFL. And look, the Arizona Cardinals are a team that were embarrassed the week before, blowing a 28-point lead just like Justin Herbert did in the playoffs. And look, they wanted to come out here and make a statement. This was a dangerous game for the Cowboys. And my thing was like, I told Ben, I just did not have a good feeling about this game come game day. And then when I heard Martin, Biotic, and Tyron Smith were going to be out for this game, that put even more of a pit in my stomach. But, look, here's the thing, right? It drives me up a wall that this team does this every single year. Now, look, they're going to play a game next week, and I actually think that the Cowboys are going to have a lot of success against the New England Patriots. I think they match up very well against the New England Patriots. I think that they're going to be extra motivated for this game. I think they're going to do really well against the New England Patriots. But the thing is, in the grand scheme of things, I still feel really good about this football team. But come the end of the season, when you're in a tight division race and you look at these type of games where you look back at it and say, and there's no reason why we should have lost this game. We were the better team. We didn't take them seriously. These losses hurt. And that's my biggest problem coming out of this game. I know what this team is, right? This is a team, like, think about it like this. And I know this might sound like an excuse. I don't really care. Versus the Jets, they had the only offensive lineman they were missing was Tyler Smith. They got Tyler Smith back. The next week, they were missing 3 offensive linemen. Oh, by the way, their all-pro corner, they were missing him as well. So 4 very important pieces of this team were not available versus the game against in this game against the Cardinals. They still should have won the game. Let me make sure that I'm telling people I'm not making excuses for this. But to me, it just really shows that this is a week-by-week league, and I want to see how the Cowboys respond to this. We're going to learn a lot about this team this upcoming week. I think that they're going to respond in a very positive manner because when you go back to last season, the Cowboys didn't lose back-to-back games at all last season. So I expect a big performance from them. I expect them to answer big, and if they don't, we're going to have to start asking questions about this.
I'm like this, man. The show is seeming like it's doom and gloom because we lost to the Cardinals. The Cardinals was actually prepared for the game where the Cowboys wasn't. in that first half, man, it was just utterly ridiculous. I'm sitting there in State Farm, AT&T West, where all those dang Cowboy fans were, and Ben, he seen it. It was ridiculous. I thought, okay, we're at home field advantage, okay, and you come out flat. The crowd was so electric, man. They were ready to erupt for anything. In the first half, man, when you kept giving a penalty after penalty, the defense couldn't get off the field on third down over and over. Then you kill the a 2-minute drive. You're trying to perform the 2-minute offense, and it goes nowhere. And then they get the ball back and kick a 61-yard field goal. Dude, it was just. I thought, okay,
62.
62. 62. This first half can't get over with quicker. And if you notice, in the second half, the Cardinals only had one play. The big bomb where the kid was wide open. They scored a touchdown and got up 2 scores. Okay, that was their only scoring play in the whole second half. And the Cowboys couldn't take advantage of that. Okay, because of penalties, undisciplined play, and I honestly blame this game on Mike McCarthy, okay? Because we're not load managing in the third game of the damn season. We can't do that, okay? We're already a game behind Philadelphia. We have to win every game possible this whole season because these teams are good. We got to play San Francisco, and we got to play the Eagles 3 times. We can't get behind early. And I think Mike McCarthy let the whole team down by his load management and his game planning against the damn Cardinals. It was ridiculous. And I don't care. I don't understand when you got 4 minutes to go in the game and you running the ball 5 straight times. It makes no sense to me. Okay? But nobody's bringing up Mike McCarthy's performance as a coach in that game, too. It just seemed like he was running out the damn clock. How you going to run out the clock if you're down 12?
And that really didn't make sense.
You gotta be aggressive, and he wasn't aggressive at all.
Yeah, well, guys, I do not want to harp on Dak Prescott because Dak Prescott, I'm not one of these haters. I think Dak Prescott sucks. That's not true. I just think Dak Prescott's overstated by the Cowboys community. I think he's somewhere between 10 to 12 quarterback in the NFL. I don't think he's top 5. I don't think he's top 8, and I won't harp on that. But this is why you guys are all kind of beating around the bush, and I'm kind of just saying what's out there. Guys, Dak Prescott doesn't deserve all the blame. Micah Parsons was awful. The run game was pretty good, but that was pretty much the only part of the Cowboys that really showed up on Sunday. Dak Prescott is immensely Grand Canyon gap better than Josh Dobbs, but yet was completely outplayed by Josh Dobbs. And Josh Dobbs.
No, he wasn't. That's a bull-faced lie. No, he wasn't.
You want me to read you the stats and the passer rating and yards per distance?
Go ahead. I got eyes. I seen it. Josh Dobbs did not outplay Dak Prescott.
Higher completion percentage, no interceptions, same amount of touchdowns, higher passer rating. It's okay to admit he was outplayed by Josh Dobbs.
No, he was. 170 yards that game.
What was that?
He threw 170 yards that game.
Josh Dobbs threw 190 yards.
190 yards. How many did Dak Prescott throw for?
249. He was down. He had to throw the ball. We didn't have to. The Arizona Cardinals didn't have to run.
Throw the ball when they were down. I wish they did throw the ball when they were down.
Guys, and another thing that I wanted to harp on as well. Listen, it's a completely bonehead decision to run the ball with 5 minutes to go. But that's kind of what they think of their quarterback because they handed the ball to their quarterback to throw it on 3rd and goal, and he made a completely boneheaded decision. Threw it to 3. Triple coverage. Guys, it's 3rd down. Throw the ball out of the end zone. Live to fight another down. I think we can all agree there. That they ran the ball. There's a reason why they agree.
There was no live to fight another down. We got that. Hold on.
It's 3rd and goal.
Got the ball. We got the ball with 7 minutes. We got the ball with 7 minutes to go. We started on our own 25. Within 2 minutes, we're on the 18-yard line. There's 5 minutes left in the game. He runs the ball 5 times straight, but gets 2 first downs in the process. Because on 2nd and 1, after Rico Dowdle turns that screen that should have been absolutely nothing and then juked out the entire Arizona Cardinals defense and got 9 yards out of the play, puts us on 2nd and 1. He throws it into the corner. Mind you, not the best throw in the world, but at the end of the day, PI is PI is PI. Your guy tackles Michael Gallup in the back of the end zone as he's fighting for the ball, and they pick up their flag and bring the play back. So now it's 3rd and 1. We run it with Pollard twice, gain 2 first downs out of both runs. We end up on the 5-yard line. And then just monstrosity of just again and again and again, we end up on 3rd and basically 5 for the goal line. And yeah, man, pressure came, and it is what it is. Your narrative fits in that one play, in that little scenario, it fits. But it's not like I can put the whole game in that perspective just because of that one play. That's mismanagement, man. How are you running the ball? We went from 5 minutes at that point where we had entered the red zone from getting the ball. We had 5 minutes and like 30 seconds left. We ended up, by the time he threw the pick, there was only 3 minutes left in the game. We ran off 2 other minutes instead of shooting at the end zone. We ran off another 2 minutes inside the 10, after the 2 first down runs. Man, let's throw and let's get in. Yeah. What are we even doing? You're putting your quarterback in a position where they're pinning their ears back with 3 offensive linemen missing. It's like, damn, man, there's only so much that you can do. But yes, for the caliber of quarterback that we interpret that he is, you got to make that play. You got to find that man over the corner. You got to see that you got 3 guys in front of you. You got to read where the blitz is coming. But damn, man, you can't do everything. And even if you score at that point, we're talking onside kick at this point. There's not enough time to score another touchdown. Like the game was damn near out of reach at that point because they just slowed down. Now, if you get down to the 20 and you take 3 shots at the end zone, I can live with that because there's 5 minutes left. You can still kick the ball off. You can still work your timeouts. You still have the 2-minute warning, but you didn't even give us a damn chance. You ran it down like we had the lead. Exactly. What are you even doing? I can't put it all on him. But even if he makes the play, you know what you're going to be telling me on this show? He still didn't do enough because they didn't score fast enough and da-da-da-da-da. And we're still going to put it on him. So whether he makes that play or breaks that play or however it goes down, he's not. It's never going to be enough because y'all are going to move that goalpost for him. Because there's plenty of times where he's made the play and there's plenty of times where I've seen him do what he needs to do in those situations. Sunday was an anomaly. This was just a team that just, for whatever reason, always has our number, and just these guys just flat out didn't show up. The defense let up 200 yards in the ground in the first half. In the first half, you literally didn't do anything in the second. You did nothing. You did absolutely nothing. The game was a 1-possession game all the way down to the very end of the game, and that's what really makes me more mad than anything because we lived on your side of the field, and we lived with the ball. We just couldn't finish. And that's the only thing that scares me because that's been the trend for the last 3 weeks is just that. And I really just thought because they haven't opened up the playbook. They haven't really opened up their scheme and doing what they're doing. They've kept it really just simplified because they haven't really had to do anything. And it's like they came into this game thinking they're playing Vanderbilt or something. Like,
hold up, Ben.
Go for it.
RJ.
So, guys, we have a special guest joining us from Blogging the Boys. He is the editor over there. He is the main guy. You guys all know him. You guys all love him. RJ Ochoa, how are you doing, my friend?
The great RJ Ochoa.
I'm doing great. Great to be here. Sorry I'm late. Had some tech issues. My dogs were going crazy. The small one's sitting on my lap. I'm like Dr. Evil here. But it's a long week, and it's only Tuesday night, I guess, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Oh, man.
I'm going to let you make it with that Stroh shirt on, baby. Let's go Rangers.
Let's go Rangers.
not working out right now.
Rangers. I don't care. I don't care. Rangers.
So, RJ, tell us why the sky's falling and how the Cowboys aren't going to win another game for the rest of the season.
Well, it had been like 8 months and change since the Cowboys lost a game. And I think I wouldn't say we forgot how to act. I think we remembered exactly how to act. And even then, I mean, the last game they lost that was consequential, that wasn't the playoff game, last year, was an even longer time ago, right? Because the most recent game they lost was obviously the 49ers game. I know they lost in week 18 to Washington, but we all know that was kind of, this half effort because they sort of had a chance to win the division. So the last regular season game they truly lost, that we had a whole week to kind of be pissed off about and work on with regards to the next week, was the Jacksonville loss in overtime. So it's been a very long time since we've had to kind of look ourselves in the mirror like this. I think it's fair to be concerned. I think it's fair to say that, they have a history of laying an egg like this. I think it's fair to say maybe they were smelling themselves a little bit. I think it's fair to say that maybe they thought they could get by, resting 3 offensive linemen. That I think it's also fair to say that the Trayvon Diggs thing, shocked everybody. I mean, they were on such a high, and to have that happen really just kind of takes the wind out of your sails. And so it was embarrassing. I would lie if I said I wasn't rooting for the Cardinals to be this like sneaky good team now to kind of justify this for the next few months. But I mean, it happens. And like, I know that they're the Cowboys and they get talked about, way more than anybody else, but those same Jaguars lost to the Texans. The Ravens lost to the Gardner Minshew Colts, right? Like Jalen Hurts threw 2 interceptions on Monday night, and nobody cares about those things because they're not the Cowboys. And that's just kind of the way things go.
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree with that. Look, these things happen every single year. Look, one point that I wanted to get off that I completely forgot about. The Cardinals were embarrassed last week. They gave up that 27-point lead. Like I said earlier, I don't know if Mookie's still here, like his boy Justin Herbert gave up. And that's embarrassing for an NFL team. They're going to come out extra motivated. The Cowboys have been the one doing the embarrassing over the first 2 weeks. So they came into this game feeling themselves. And, Kevin Durant once said, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Well, guess what? The Cowboys are a more talented team, but they didn't work hard on Sunday. And I think that this should serve as a reminder to them that they need to go in these games with their heads screwed on straight. Because, like I said, there's nobody saying that the Cardinals are a better team than the Cowboys. If you think that, you're crazy. Ben, let me get your take on that.
Guys, the Cardinals are better than you think. I'm out here at Fox Sports 9:10 a.m. in Phoenix. I'm covering them. I'm doing stuff on the show. We're contributing. We're finding all. I know everything about the Cardinals, guys. There's not a player on that team that I don't know. This team's not very good. The Cardinals beat the Cowboys on one trait alone. It was simply effort. And that's the only reason why the Cardinals came out and beat them. They came out with their hairs on fire. They're embarrassed that they lost against the Giants. They're embarrassed that they lost against the Commanders. I promise you, there's not a single fan that's embarrassed that the Cardinals lost last week, because they'll all secretly tell you they all wanted to tank for Caleb Williams, but now they're facing the reality that the Cardinals are going to be a lot better than they thought. A lot better meaning they're probably going to win 4 games instead of 1 game. And so, that's kind of the whole thing with the Cardinals. The Cowboys are a got to take the bread out of the oven, right? No, the Cowboys are a team that, they just have all these things that are continued question marks, because for the Dallas Cowboys fan base, it is, and rightfully so, the team is loaded, Super Bowl or bust. But if you have a head coach in Mike McCarthy, it's not great at time management.
And a quarterback in Dak Prescott, I already know what you're going to say.
Yeah, listen, Mike McCarthy, a guy who's not great with the play calling. And yeah, I'm going to harp on it. Dak Prescott, I don't think is a top 8 quarterback in the league. And I think for the most part, if you don't have that, it's tough to win a Super Bowl. There's the Nick Foles, there's the Trent Dilfers, but it's incredibly hard to do. And then you have things like, guys, Trayvon Diggs. I know you guys understand this, but maybe someone who's a Cowboy fan doesn't understand. That is a huge blow. Do you know how hard it is to make up a new quarterback, a cornerback one that's going to shadow the best guy every week? That is that sucks, man. I'm really happy he got his money, because he not only deserved it and he took way too much flack for it, but he's a guy that now he's set and he can come back when he's ready. But that's a huge loss, guys. The Cowboys, and that's the whole thing for me. I think they're a very fraudulent Super Bowl contender. I think they are staring at a a possible 2-3 start to the season. Bill Belichick is a guy that makes quarterbacks' lives hell. I'd pick the Cowboys to win that game for sure. But if the Cowboys lose that game, I wouldn't be surprised. You guys might be. And then the next week, the 49ers, no, I wouldn't take the Cowboys to win that game. I see them as well going 3-2, but realistically, you could see the Cowboys being 2-3 a couple of weeks from now.
There's a lot to get into there. Here's the thing, right? My thing is this. In the NFC, are we sure there's a top 10 quarterback in the NFC? Because Jalen Hurts hasn't looked like one. Matt Stafford, maybe. He's really good. So when it comes to getting to the Super Bowl with this roster, absolutely you can get to the Super Bowl with Dak Prescott as your quarterback. Now, can you win the Super Bowl? That's another story. Here's the thing. Dak Prescott, if he's the quarterback of your football team with this roster, you can make the Super Bowl. And when you get to the Super Bowl, that defense is so good, they can take over a game. So yes, the answer to can they win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott? They can, because it's not like they have to go through the Bills and the Chiefs and all those other teams, the Ravens and the Bengals. They have to go through, they got to go through Philly. Ben, you might not know this, but Dak Prescott has Philly's number. 8-3 record, and look at the stats to prove it. He has their number. And the Cowboys as a whole have their number. I feel really good about that matchup. The one matchup I will say I don't feel great about is still the San Francisco 49ers. To me, they're the one team that I look at and I say, that's the team standing in our way of getting to where we want to be. RJ, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I know it's difficult to poke holes in what the Eagles are. You're undefeated. I think people are forgiving of a lot of things. And they obviously were incredible last year. So I think people think that they're just kind of going to stabilize and find their footing. San Francisco and I think Miami are probably the two, best looking teams through 3 weeks. And granted, that's a really small sample size. And Dallas has to play both of them, in the regular season. And I agree with you. If the Cowboys played any of the NFC contenders that are in San Francisco 10 times, they probably win way more often than not. But I think that's where games like Sunday create insecurity, and they lead you to kind of have that doubt in the back of your mind. Like, well, what if you don't show up, right? We saw you not show up, and what if you don't have the top broadcast crew? What if you're not in prime time? Like, do you get up for these games? Like, is it or do you only get up for like the big time matchups? And it's great. And look, if they win on Sunday and they win next Sunday night in San Francisco, I'll feel really happy and I'll be really pumped. But at the end of the day, they could go win next Sunday night in Santa Clara, 40-0 again. And I would still be just as afraid. Because the 49ers have shown that they can beat them in the most important moment that matters. And so, I don't mean to say like everything is meaningless and there's no point to anything, until they get to the playoffs, but we know they're a very good team. They are one of the best teams in the NFL. They're going to be a playoff team. And so now it's just a matter of checking all the boxes and getting there and then doing everything that you haven't been able to do for almost 30 years.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to know what's funny in the NFC? So I would say that, like, when you look at the top three contenders in the NFC, the reason why I can't say that there's a clear-cut favorite right now, granted, it's definitely not the Cowboys at this current moment with the performance that they just put on. The Cowboys have the Eagles number. The Eagles have the 49ers number. And then the 49ers have the Cowboys number. So it's like this circle of everybody having each other's numbers. So that's going to be really interesting to see through the upcoming weeks. No, you're absolutely right. The one team that scares me the most out of any other team is San Francisco, just because I think they match up so well with the Cowboys. I want to move on to this topic, and I know Ben has to get out of here soon. So I want to thank Ben for coming on the show. As always, he's a good friend of mine, and I look forward to having him on in future episodes. I want to talk about Dan Quinn. I just want to get a general consensus of how you guys are feeling about Dan Quinn coming out of this game. Chris, I'll start with you.
Well, I was very disappointed. That's, I just think that the defense was lackluster. I don't think they were aggressive enough. I don't think they put any pressure on Josh Dobbs. They made Josh Dobbs look like he was Joe Montana back there. He was just sitting back there picking apart. And then when you let Josh Dobbs scramble for over 40 yards and nobody gets him, it was just very disappointing. Okay. I think that I'm not going to blame, our defensive coordinator for the loss, but you got to be concerned that the game plan that he had against Josh Dobbs just didn't work. And now the adjustments in the second half worked because they only gave up that one big play. Because if it wasn't for that one big play, I think the Cowboys really come back and win the game. But other than, I don't know about that, because when we go in the red zone and basically do nothing but kick field goals or go 3 and out or 4 and out, that really wouldn't matter. I just think, man, our aggressiveness on defense on Sunday was just lackluster. Every once in a while you'll see pressure by Michael Parsons because he's going to get through regardless. But we were never complete. Now, I was like, what happened to Osa Idigazua? We missed him. Did you even hear his name the whole time? In the last two games, the previous two games, I was like, man, Idigazua is going to have a wonderful season. I mean, because he's getting pressure from the inside. Okay, where was Tank Lawrence at the whole dang game? You didn't see him. And then you saw Stephon Gilmore giving a place to Hollywood Brown, who probably hadn't caught a pass since he left Oklahoma. It's just ridiculous. It was ridiculous, man. I just think it was this effort all around, because I think they took the Cardinals very lightly. And I think, listening to Michael Parsons, what he said on his little podcast and everything, he took ownership of the defense just being terrible and basically underestimated them. And he said they played down to their competition. And I said it on the TikTok before the game even started. Look, we can't play down to the Cardinals. I thought that was over with last year, just the way they played on Sunday night, and then against the Jets. But then you come out there and you pull the same old crap. And then now, as Cowboy fans and content creators and everything, we got to try to defend what happened in Arizona. And it's hard to defend because you think this team is a lot better than what they put out there on Sunday.
Hold up, because I want to get into a comment in the chat. I think it is very fair to put some accountability on Dan Quinn. There were some things that he did in this game that I just found to be inexcusable. There was a play that they had Micah Parsons lined up at 2I. They had Mozzie Smith lined up at 4I. They had LV on the edge. Some of those alignments that Dan Quinn had, it really didn't make any sense to me. I don't understand this LVE coming off the edge thing. If he wants to have that off-ball linebacker that kind of plays that hybrid role, I think Damone Clark is more than suited to do that. But, that's kind of my thing with Dan Quinn sometimes. He gets a little too cute at times, and I think that there's times where he tries to do too much and he tries to be over aggressive, and I think some teams really take advantage of Dan Quinn's aggressiveness. RJ, do you think it's fair for me to put some accountability on Dan Quinn coming out of this game?
Yeah, and I think that people are really soft about Dan Quinn. I mean, Dan Quinn is awesome. I hate to have this conversation because it sounds, like we're tearing the dude down, but there's a lot of people who refuse, who think that the guy is infallible. And there's blame for everybody, right? That isn't to say that Mike McCarthy doesn't deserve blame or Dak Prescott doesn't deserve blame, but people act like, whenever the defense is dominating, the Cowboys are just destroying everybody. Dan Quinn forever. Dan Quinn's running the show. This is really Dan Quinn's team. Mike McCarthy's doing nothing, but the Cowboys get waxed and give up all this yardage in the first half. And we don't even want to whisper that Dan Quinn may have been in over his head, that Dan Quinn may have gotten a little bit too cute here. I mean, it's just such a, he's in such a great spot. I mean, where he has all this praise and adoration and gets zero criticism for when his side of the ball fails. And look, the Cowboys offense didn't show up, the red zone deficiency. Again, all these things have been talked about ad nauseum for the last 50 hours. But the Cowboys defense really failed. And I'm willing to throw them a bone and say, yeah, you lost Trayvon Diggs and, you had to make some adjustments, but you have a lot of pieces. We sit here week after week and we gas up Micah and Osa and Tank and Leighton Vander Esch. And, you got Stephon Gilmore, you've got the three, safeties on the field all the time. You're playing nickel as the new base, all this stuff. Hell yeah, Dan Quinn should absolutely wear some blame for this loss. I don't know why it's such an uncomfortability for people to be able to kind of say that out loud. It's okay. It doesn't mean you love Dan Quinn less if you say that he was partly responsible for this loss.
Exactly. And that's that kind of, it drives me crazy that people from time to time don't want to give Dan Quinn the accountability that he deserves. All you're doing when you're placing accountability on him for a certain game or for a certain stretch of games is saying that I expect more from this guy, and at the current moment, he's not giving me that. Granted, the defense has been awesome so far. The defense was awesome last year, but there were some stretches during last year where we had some questions. We were like, all right, the run defense doesn't look that great. How are you going to take or how are you going to fix things when it comes to teams attacking that second corner outside of Trayvon Diggs? Dan Quinn is far from perfect. He's as good as it gets as a defensive coordinator, but he's far from perfect. And he has these games where, I kind of scratch my head a little bit. it's perfectly fine to place accountability on this guy. It really, because here's the thing, right? When the defense plays good, like you said, it's Dan Quinn rocks. But when the defense doesn't play that good, people look at the offense and they say, well, offense, what are you doing, man? Like, you need to step it up. The defense isn't having their good day. And they don't want to blame Dan Quinn for that specific game. Me personally, I don't partake in that. The offense needed to be better the other day, no doubt about it. But so did Dan Quinn, and it's perfectly fine to call him out. And I even hate that I have to put all these caveats around it and beat around the bushes. He needed to be better on Sunday, no doubt about it. What do you think about that, Ro?
I mean, yeah, you absolutely have to look at what he did on his side of the ball because, I mean, I just said it. They let up 200 yards on the ground in the first half. In the first half of the game. And not to mention, man, I don't remember ever seeing that many offsides penalties on a defense ever. That was ridiculous. That's
the thing, man. Like the amount of penalties that the Cowboys had as well on the defensive side of the ball. I'm sorry, you have to put
key downs on key downs. You're looking at offsides penalties, and from our best player. It was surreal. It felt like every other play. Like I just felt like I heard offsides so many times by the end of the game that I was just like, how many times have we been offsides? It didn't feel right. I like, false start, sometimes somebody gets in a funk, but I've never seen offsides that much. Ever.
I'm sorry. Y'all have a comment that says blaming Dan Quinn is wild. Why not the head coach? Okay. Then why don't we credit the head coach? Right? Like when things are going well, why does Mike McCarthy get none of the credit? Like this. I mean, look, I'm not saying Dan Quinn orchestrated this. Like, I mean, he's a victim of the coincidence, but like it worked out perfectly for him, and that like Dak Prescott threw the interception at the end because that's all anybody saw. That's all anybody cared about. That gave everybody that was the chub in the water for everybody to take and say, oh, Dak lost the game, interception. Mike McCarthy, red zone offense, blah, blah, blah. It provides all the cover. And again, I'm not faulting Dan Quinn for this at all. I agree with you. Like it's stupid that we have to add all these silly qualifiers. We can't just say the dude was bad, but like it worked out really. I'm really jealous. Like, I think we all would love that kind of like gig in life to where like, anytime you messed up, like everything else collapsed around you in the perfect way to where it gave you all the cover in the world.
Yeah,
and not to mention, we just said not even that long ago in the show, we were just talking about that last drive with how Mike McCarthy was calling basically 5 run plays in a row, acting like we had the lead at the end of the game. We just talked about that, so just so we're clear,
blame him too.
We've given Mike McCarthy plenty of blame over here,
but people are cool.
We're talking about Dan. It's not like Dan is free from nobody's safe.
He is. Nope. Nobody. And it's been that way for 3 years. And people act like the Cowboys have never allowed a touchdown for 3 years, whatever. Like, I mean, and I just got off of a show and I brought this up and it's stupid, but like, I don't mean to just like turn into the anti-Dan Quinn guy, but I'm just trying to provide balance in the force. When Mike McCarthy missed a game in New Orleans in 2020, when he was on the COVID list, do y'all remember who the interim head coach was? It was Dan Quinn, and they barely won. Like they barely squeaked out a win in New Orleans. But I mean, Dan Quinn also gets the least amount of blame for losing a Super Bowl that I've ever seen. Like, and they didn't just lose. I mean, they lost in literally historic fashion. And similarly, Mike gets the least amount of credit for anyone who ever won the Super Bowl.
And think about it. They had the most players on injured reserve ever when he won a Super Bowl.
It's amazing. And I hate the conversation because it makes me feel like I'm becoming anti-Dan Quinn when I love him, a lot. But like we can be straight up about this. Like we can be objective and we can be fair. It's okay. Dan Quinn is a mortal human being and he's just fine. Like he's going to be okay if you think he did something wrong one day of the year.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely. And here's the thing, right? It's not like, yes, there is a pie to be divided between blame. Some blame has to be put over here. Some blame has to be put over there. We've talked about Mike McCarthy and we've held him accountable. All right. So Mookie's joining the show. Mookie is a big time Cowboys hater. Calls himself a truther. Mookie, why do the Cowboys suck?
First of all, I want to say hello, Mr. Cowboys. How y'all doing today?
What's up, Mookie?
So this is the thing about the Cowboys, right?
He's got
Y'all
this fake accent.
I sat there and said the Cowboys are Super Bowl contenders. You told me that Dak Prescott can lead his team to a Super Bowl. You blamed Kellen Moore and sat there and said Kellen Moore didn't have enough creativity in the
1 and 2 through 3 games.
Right? So you said Mike McCarthy is going to turn Dak Prescott more of a game manager and establish the run. And Dak Prescott, you hype on Dak Prescott for not. Hold on, you hype on Dak Prescott for not turning over the football for the first 2 games. So it explained to me that y'all sat there and told me that this defense is the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL. I heard some Cowboys told me that this defense, with Michael Parsons, the talent that they had, is going to be better, or if not the same as the 85 Bears defensively. So what I'm saying is that the expectation for a Cowboy, right, is to win every year. You can have one of the worst teams, you can have one of the trashiest teams, and you still think the Cowboys going to win the Super Bowl. But when we looking at this team there, right, how you lose to the Cardinals? You lost to Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs torched the secondary of the Cowboys. Missed assignments, couldn't key in on receivers, couldn't get stops. The Cardinals just marched down your defense. And then Dak Prescott, too. Inefficient in the red zone. You had 4 opportunities to score in the red zone, field goals after field goals, right? And explain that last interception against double coverage.
Mookie, I was on Gridiron yesterday, and I told you it was a bad throw. But here's my thing: when you talk about and I said that I was there, and I said that. Explain to me this: if Dak Prescott is so inefficient in the red zone, why was it last year he had 18 touchdowns to 1 interception, 70% completion percentage in the red zone? If he's inefficient in the red zone,
I talk about last game. He was inefficient in the red zone.
Okay, so that you're using a one game sample size.
Well, part of that was Kellen Moore. See, the guy that y'all sit there and scapegoated on how Dak played trash, Kellen Moore had more explosive to the offense. So what I'm saying is that when you lost Kellen Moore and you got Mike McCarthy, you don't see that explosiveness down the offense. And you already admitted to on Gridiron that you have the talent that can be explosive with the offense down the field.
Correct.
But you sat there and blame Kellen Moore, and Kellen Moore is with a better quarterback, a top 2 quarterback in the NFL, Justin Herbert, right? And they have some of the most efficient offense, the most explosive offense. They have a top 10 offense
Mookie,
in the NFL.
I said
so what I'm saying is this: is that you blame Kellen Moore, you blame everybody else. What about the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy?
Mookie, hey, how many wins y'all got?
I got this, Ru. It's so funny to me how this guy's taking a victory lap. The Chargers are 1 and 2, and in 2 of those games, they needed big drives down the stretch. And what happened? What I said happened with Kellen Moore. What we all said. You're going to put up big numbers with Kellen Moore. Absolutely. That's why I said Justin Herbert was going to win MVP. Situational football always comes back to bite Kellen Moore in the behind. RJ, he said a lot there. I want you to respond to him.
I mean, it's 3 games of a sample size for everybody, and I think it's silly to say, oh, Team X is 2-1, Team Y is 1-2, right? Like, again, we're talking a really, really small data set overall. But I do think we've seen a lot of who Kellen Moore was in Dallas in terms of.
So did I lie, Mr. Cowboy?
I mean,
hold up, Mookie. Let him talk.
I don't think there's lies. I think there's manipulations and stretches and things like that happening here. Again, I mean, I agree that the Chargers are going to score a lot of points, and like multiple things can be true. And this is one of those, it probably worked out for the Cowboys and Kellen Moore for him to move on, and specifically for him to move on to the Chargers. I mean, it wasn't, oil and water, but it was just different variables that weren't necessarily working in harmony and in synchronization. And this sounds, dumb this week coming off of a Cowboys loss, but Mike McCarthy's vision for the offense and getting a little bit more conservative at times where the defense is able to help them kind of pile up a big lead works out better than keeping your foot on the gas. I mean, sometimes you've got to take a turn slow, and that's something that Kellen Moore wasn't great at, but Mike McCarthy is able to kind of downshift. It's not just foot on the gas all the time. it's a whole sequence of a game. It's a dance, and you've got to be able to do every single part of
it. This is why I have to respond to that. When you look at Kellen Moore, like when you look at the Cowboys offense, the offense was much more explosive with Kellen Moore in there. The thing about Kellen Moore's offense, that you got to be able to protect the ball, not turn over the football, and that's one thing that Dak Prescott struggled all last year when she led the NFL in interceptions, ladies and gentlemen. So what I'm saying is this, right? When I'm looking at the efficiency with Kellen Moore with the Chargers offense, the man used a different motion of play, scheme, curl routes, screens in the middle. I mean, Kellen Moore is a creative play caller. So the fact that I heard Cowboy fans sit there and blame Kellen Moore, which Kellen Moore was the reason why your offense was number one, top 5 in the lead, the most efficient offense in the lead as well. So when we look at the Cowboys right now, I don't even think y'all even top 10. I don't even know if y'all top 12 in the NFL right now throughout these first 3 games. So what I'm saying is this, ladies and gentlemen.
This is so stupid.
You Cowboy fans got to understand
this. This is so stupid.
When are y'all going to get rid of Dak? When are y'all going to understand that Dak is not the quarterback that y'all need to go further and have deep postseason runs with a quarterback like Dak?
Mookie, it's so weird to me that now you're taking a victory lap. What did they do to the Jets last week? That was very efficient football by Dak Prescott. I don't think that Justin Herbert's played a single defense as good as the Jets. So I mean,
they had Zach Wilson under center for the Jets.
Does he play defense?
No, I'm saying in the office.
No. I'm talking. No. But he doesn't play defense.
I know you don't play defense, but I'm saying that.
So why are you bringing up Zach Wilson?
Because what I'm saying is this: is that your offense can play more conservative because
he completed his first 15 passes though, Mookie.
You said what?
He completed his first 15 passes in that game. They got. But
that's the thing about Dak. Dak have these games where he looks good and completes his passes, but do he have games? He's an inconsistent quarterback.
Just like every other quarterback.
No.
Yes, just like every other quarterback.
No,
the other quarterback.
The quarterbacks that's inconsistent. Like Dak is on the same tier as Lamar Jackson. Inconsistent quarterbacks that can't get you done, can't get you over the top. They play good.
Justin Herbert's consistent?
Absolutely.
He consistently can't finish. But that's besides the point. This isn't a
Cowboy. You see the Chargers next week, Cowboy.
Yeah, and I look forward to that game.
You see them next. So you talking about the Chargers?
You are looking forward to that game.
And Kellen Moore is going to test their defense that you sat there and said is number 1 in the
league. I'd love to see him try.
But this is the thing about the Cowboys.
Mookie, we do got to move on though, bro. I'm not trying to. This is water under the bridge. So I appreciate you for coming, bro.
All right, man. All right, Cowboys. Salute to you, man.
I appreciate you, bro.
I'm gonna check on your Cowboys. I know you're from.
All right, yo, we're doing a live stream during that game. All right, that was fun. Okay, so last segment of the show here. I just want to go around real quick and ask you guys. So, what is your concern level for the Cowboys going forward? Anywhere from 1 to 10. I'll start with you, RJ.
I mean, it's probably a 4, maybe a soft 5 if you kind of let your insecurities, be felt a little bit more. Last week I think fed those insecurities, right? Like, and I think that the Giants continue to struggle, feeds that a little bit too, right? It's like, oh man, maybe they really did just kind of dominate these really bad teams. I think that question is a little bit louder in all of our minds. And so I think that, and beyond that, there was logic and reason to saying that the reason the red zone struggles were what they were against the Jets were that the Cowboys did go conservative, that they weren't interested in kind of piling up points. They just wanted to get out of Dodge with the win. But now that's a thing, right? Like now that's a non-negotiable, non-debatable thing. And so those things are gonna exist until they don't. So, if they drive down the field, get into the red zone against the Patriots on Sunday, we're all going to be kind of holding our breath. And if they have to settle for a field goal, then it's just going to kind of continue to feed and perpetuate that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, I think a 4, but I'd say most NFL teams that don't have Patrick Mahomes are always in a state of somewhere between 4 and 6. It just kind of floats on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, I'll take this one. I'm going to say I'm at about a 6, and here's the reason why. It's just I thought that this year, especially to start off the season, the whole playing with your food was going to be behind you. I thought that this was the team that was, obviously they are an experienced team, no doubt about it. But I thought that they would learn from their experiences with playing with their food. And they came out in this game and they played with their food, no doubt about it. That's the reason why this is a little concerning to me. And I've seen this plenty of times from the Cowboys. They're going to go out on Sunday and they're going to have a great performance against New England. I know this team far too well. They're going to have a great performance against New England. The only thing that scares me is when the Cowboys get you up here and then they go into a big game, it's usually a letdown. So that's where I'm concerned. And maybe I'm more concerned by just, teams of the past doing certain things like this than I am concerned about this team in particular. Chris, what do you think about that?
Well, first of all, B, we got to establish something here. Rue knows this. My specialty is destroying ignorance that comes on here talking about Dak Prescott and Dallas. And when you didn't give me an opportunity to destroy Mac, I was kind of in my feelings, but I was like, okay.
I'm sorry. You got to let me know. I got into see, here's the thing. I got into my feelings. So I got tunnel vision, my bad. But if you want to address that, address it.
And that's my specialty. You know it is. You know it is. I'm sitting here patiently. I'm like, please tag me in. The big fella's going to jump over the ropes, and, man, it's going to be on and popping. Okay? But you didn't give me the opportunity. But to answer your question, okay, my concern level is at a 0, and let me explain why. I'm not going to be that knee-jerk Cowboy fan after one bad game, and we're going to be like, oh, hell, we got to be concerned about everything now. We got to reevaluate the whole damn team. Because we all know in the NFL, man, the real season don't start until week 5, week 6 anyway. We'll know what our team is. Okay, right now, we still don't know what the Cowboys is. We don't know if we're a defensive team. We don't know if we're an offensive team. We don't know if we're a passing team, a running team, blitzing team. We don't know yet, okay? So if you think about it, this is preseason game number 3 for the offense and the defense because nobody played in the preseason. So we don't know yet. We don't know what the team is going to be yet. And I love when people just automatically assume what Dak Prescott is going to be because of the sample size. I hate that term, sample size. You don't know what the sample size is. You don't know what player is going to be year after year after year. Okay, me here in Denver, everybody thought John Elway's the worst thing ever, but he was a super quarterback. But they took Terrell Davis to come to help him win the Super Bowl. Come on, man. Let's quit breaking down people's careers after 1 or 2 years. It just makes no sense. So right now, my concern level for the Dallas Cowboys is at a 0 because we don't know what they are yet.
And Real, I'll let you finish this, and then we'll get out of here.
Man, I'm kind of like with RJ. I'm right there in the middle of it because there are concerns after losing Diggs. I'm hoping that this science experiment that Dan Quinn did in this last game is over. Obviously, they figured it out in the second half, but that straight up looked like just something I'd never seen from him, or at least I hadn't seen from him in this season. And for what we're looking at as a whole, man, for me, it's just I want to see what I expected to see out of the offense. I want to see it open up at some point because I feel like they've just been holding their cards and holding everything back. And it's just like, man, you can't treat these games like, their practice or what have you. These guys are out to win every single week. They're not just going to roll over and die for anybody. So I don't know what this was. I can't chalk it up to really anything. I'm burning this tape and I'm moving past it and I'm never just going to think about it ever again because it's just like by week 10, this won't matter. And we should be sitting right where pretty in this division. So I really don't I'm hoping that this just is the kick in the pants that it needs to be. This team humbles itself and decides to just go back to how they were in just robotic mode in week 1 and 2 and just do exactly what they need to do to win and move forward. The real concern, man, was the penalties, if anything. That really was weird for me. I'm just hoping that's not a trend because that was just I'm hoping that was just one of those anomaly games where it was just super ugly because the penalties were a concern. And I'm hoping that those running nightmares aren't going to come back to haunt us because if we start letting up ground yards like that in in games like we were last year, that's not gonna behoove us at all, especially with the hit to Diggs in the secondary. But I'm still confident that we're gonna come out, and I kind of feel like Chris on what we're gonna see against the Patriots. I feel like it's gonna be one of those games where it's like, oh, there they are.
Yeah, absolutely. RJ, I'm going to give you the final word. Your message to Cowboys Nation.
I mean, I certainly understand some of the freak out this week. It's annoying that the Eagles won and that they look sloppy and that they keep winning anyway. It's a stressful time in sports, whether if you're a Rangers fan or an Astros fan. The Premier League's back. A lot of college football teams starting to realize that their season's over as well. So, our hearts and minds are all over the place. The fall weather won't come no matter how hard we try to will it here. It's still just hot outside all the time. So I get, being pissed off at this, that, or the other. And so it sucks that the Cowboys can't go beat the crappy Cardinals. And so this week is annoying and you just have to accept it. You have to accept that it's going to be annoying, that you're going to hear some national takes that will bother you. And you just kind of have to deal with it and hope that on Sunday the team that we gassed up and we hyped up and we found a lot of truth and facts and data from that's who plays out and that this is a blip on the radar. And I will promise you something else. They will lose again and they will lose to a team that they should not lose against, and they will drop a game that you don't think they should, and they will do something stupid and something unexplainable, and we'll be pissed off. And it will probably still be hot outside when that happens. But I mean, it's just the way that an NFL season goes. No one is going to be perfect all the way through. And so you if you're not prepared for the ride, the up and down, then you're kind of getting in the wrong, level of emotional investment.
Absolutely. RJ, I couldn't have said it better myself. I appreciate you for coming. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
blogontheboys.com obviously is how we rock every day. A hub for everything I do is on Twitter and Instagram at RJ Ochoa. Some jerk had that on TikTok, as you know, so I had to go with RJ.Ochoa. But yeah, it's a fun time despite the hecticness of the week, and everything will stabilize soon enough.
And I really want to thank you for coming on. I know it was hard to fit this in the schedule, but I really appreciate you making time for us.
No, thanks for having me. Sorry about the tech issues early on, and then I had a bug, so I had to turn my camera off. I had to get rid of the bug and clean it up and stuff. It was crazy. It's just a crazy night in the house. That's really what's going on here. So,
absolutely, thank you, my friend. And Cowboys Nation, we will see you next week. Thank you for coming out, and we'll see you in the next episode.